So as I'm walking past these large leaf lime trees, I notice that with a gentle breeze, then they start to shed their leaves. And so they've decided that today is the day. And when we watch them, even when the wind isn't blowing, then the odd one will fall. And then we can see them dancing, and some dance more than others. And they're clinging on until ultimately they can't cling on anymore. And now up there is one that is more animated than the rest, you see. And I often wonder, how is it that you just get one particular leaf which is much more animated than the rest around and dances in a certain way? Now it's acting just the same as all the others at this moment in time. But then all of a sudden it will become much more animated. And you think, well, how is that when the others aren't being animated at all? Now, you see that one just... there you go, there you go. Look at that one, look at that one, look at that one. And so when we look up in the trees and we see that they all take it in turns in having their little dancing life, don't you think it's very much like what we are as human beings? Taking it in turns to express the joy of life. And that's what it all means to me when I see it. I don't just see leaves on a tree. I see a simile and an expression of life which we can see throughout the whole of this world. Different times and different expressions, but ultimately all meaning the same thing. There we are. And when we are in touch with the Tao, then it means so much to us, because it touches us at our core. And that's when the cosmos speaks to us, just when we see things like this. And I just spoke to an elderly gentleman as he was passing. He greeted me, good morning, and he was kind of excited, still being alive. And I mentioned to him about the trees, how I'm coming up here to watch the trees as they gently cast off their leaves. And all he could say was, well, there's too many around for my liking. They're all over my garden. And I'm like, well, you know, again, I'm sorry for you, bro, that you find this wonderful facet of nature to be a burden to you instead of a joy. And isn't that the thing? How many people just find so much of life burdensome and they just don't see the joy? And when they're lying on the grass in their beautiful contrast of colour, it's a pleasure to see. And then when the wind catches them and then they start to dance, it's even more of a pleasure. Every single thing about this dimension is the most beautiful and exquisite of pleasures. And the vast majority of people are dead to it. And that's what my videos have always been about, ultimately. And I just love watching leaves as they dance and spiral on their way, their short passage, just a few seconds from the life they were living throughout the whole spring and the summer to just finally letting go and drifting to the floor, where ultimately they will be consumed again by the earth. Throughout the year they will be bedded down, they'll become soggy and rotten, and then the grass will grow up through them, absorbing them into the ground, and the cycle of life begins again. And so, if you ever get the opportunity or the inclination, people, you can see the leaves dancing in a whole multitude of ways, depending on their size and shape. and all being well, I'll show you a few other trees just letting their leaves go. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? And the thing is about it, they don't all do it at the same time. They all have their moment of opportunity whereby they just want to kind of like have the limelight. Isn't that an interesting thing? These are lime trees. They're having the limelight upon them. Now these trees are hollow, and they have pigeons and squirrels nesting within them. And we can see here that there is a fine orifice which I would think is being utilised even today, because you can see that where am I looking now? Around the edge you've got fresh chewed bark. Yeah, that's a squirrel's home in there. And if I had a ladder, then I'd like to go up and have a look. But whilst I'm here and watching, what I used to do is go out into a park where you've got much bigger trees, and I'll be passing one of these trees and I'll see if it's letting go of its leaves today. And I used to stand in the park and I would play catch. I would see the leaves falling down from a great height, and they would be tumbling this way, tumbling that way, and I would try to catch them, and one in maybe 10 or 20 I would catch, and it would just be an exquisite experience. You see, we've got this lime tree here, which is just the same as the others, only it isn't ready to let go of its leaves. They're still very green. And then this one over here, just every so often expressing themselves. So this is one of the places where my little boy hangs out, and that could be him there. Providence! Hey little boy! Are you my little boy? Let me go and see if that's Providence. Because he hangs out here. Providence! Is that you, my little dude? I think I can see a dray just in there. So that's probably not him, but there's one that is pretty similar in size. So there's my apartment block over there. And so this is the perfect arena for burying stuff. They love to come and bury stuff. Now you see this silver birch tree here. When that decides to shed its leaves, it's going to be a glorious thing to observe. And if you come out on an early morning, frosty day, then that's when you're best able to see these things, because as soon as the frost touches them, then they know that it's time then to release them finally. So the simple pleasures we can experience just from being observant in nature and being a little bit philosophical, having a philosophical disposition. I think poets would, thoroughly enjoy this, because their minds, they flow and they drift and dance in a similar sort of way as a philosopher does. And we look at the most gorgeous of colours. I'm going to be collecting some of these beautiful yellow and green colours, and I'm going to be putting them on my wall. So later on today I'll come back for a dozen of these with their gorgeous colours, and they will stay in this colour. Whatever colour you pick them in, they stay of that colour, because what happens is with the leaves, the tree draws back all of the chlorophyll into its branches, into its roots, and it's the chlorophyll which gives the leaves their greenness. And so it isn't, you know, you'd think that if I pick this leaf now, then it would all go brown and crispy within a couple of days, but it won't. It will stay exactly the same colour, and only in time will fade. Yes. And so I'm supposed to be editing today, and I will, but on such a gorgeous day this time of year, then you know, I can leave my editing for a rainy, dull, miserable day, really. And so I'm going out now because there's some fungi that I made a video about a couple of days ago, and there's two varieties which I'm perplexed about, and other people, you the viewer, we don't seem to be able to get anything definitive. So I'm going to film these in their natural habitat, and to see if we can derive any more clues from that, because their habitat is very important. And so without any further ado, let's go and see.